What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It has been 2 years since I last posted a video, and it's also been about 2 years since I've done any work on the Jeep in any way, shape, or form. Life got busy, to be totally honest. I kind of just took a break from social media, corporate job, kids. Ben has been building a freaking race Jeep, and that is finally wrapping up, and it's time for me to start making my way back into the shop. In order to get my Jeep ready for some summer trips we're hoping to take, or even just to get it back to where it was 2 years ago, we have a lot of small projects that we're gonna be knocking out today, so we're just gonna jump right into that. Well, actually, I can't even move the Jeep into the shop because it is missing an alternator. Now, about a year ago, maybe a little less, we had to go to O'Reilly and get a new alternator. It was warranted. The old one just crapped out.
It probably was. It was last early spring, or late spring, early summer.
Late spring, early summer, before your shoulder surgery. I've been sitting here in this field for almost 2 years, maybe in a couple different spots, but it has been a while. So I'm gonna get the alternator in, and then she should start right up. I need the hammer. There we go. All right, got both of them in. Oh man. See if she starts. Yee-yee. All right, let's get this thing out of the shop so we can bring the LJ in. Jeep is actually in the shop, we can get started on project number 1. So I'm gonna throw it back just a little bit. So when we did the LS swap, we upgraded to the Stage 2 cam from Texas Beach, and we are also running the Holley Terminator kit. However, I am still running stock fuel injectors, and we need to put some larger ones in. But I'm gonna take this moment and just go ahead and replace the entire intake, the injectors, and the fuel rails. So right over here, we have a newer style intake. It also has a larger throttle body, totally different style as well. Larger fuel injectors and aftermarket fuel rails. This is going to be a much better setup, and it's going to allow me to get more power out of this thing, which is exactly why I did an LS swap to begin with. It is now time to start taking out this old intake and prepping for the new one. Time to get fuel everywhere. There she goes. Ah, it burns! Now, the only other change outside of the intake that we're gonna have to make is gonna be the drive-by-wire harness. Now, they have a different style connector, but luckily we're running the Holley EFI, which means that everything is modular. We just had to get a different drive-by-wire harness to fit that style connector for the new throttle body. So we're gonna get this in and get the new intake installed. So as usual, no project goes as planned. We're gonna have to make 2 changes to get this intake to work. The first one's gonna be running the fuel rail crossover around the back. Now the alternator is getting in the way. The second change or modification we're gonna have to make is going to be grinding down this water neck a little bit. The hose is getting in the way right now, but if we can shorten this down a little bit, that should solve that problem.
twist and yank that and lift it.
Oh, I think that was it. I see it fluid. We finished installing the intake last night and everything went pretty smoothly. Got it bolted down, got all of our connectors plugged back in, had to reroute some of the hose lines just because they were in different spots on this new intake. And then we cut just enough off the water neck to where this fit perfectly. So I'm really glad to have this knocked out and done. We also started it up last night and Ben had to make some tuning adjustments on the Holly.
Since we moved to a newer style throttle body and a bigger one, had to reprogram the Holly for the throttle body and really kind of dial back in the idle settings, because when we first put it on, it wanted to idle super high. So I had to bring it down, have it idle back lower, and then with the new injectors, since they do have more flow, which is what we needed, had to kind of retune the entire fueling system. And we still need to take it out and get it at some high RPMs to be able to tune it back up good to go, but from what I've seen, it's much better than before.
Ready to rumble?
Yeah.
And then looking at the old intake, we have a theory, but we're not really sure. It's just kind of a theory. There was a big gap right here, and it also was starting to crack. I don't know if you want to put it up a little bit. Yeah. So we thought we had a little bit of a vacuum leak, so that was kind of like another reason we wanted to switch out to the newer one. Moving on to a more Jeep specific project. Now I got this Jeep 7 years ago and I have not done anything to the fenders. The previous owner did these DIY Highline fenders. The rear just came with the body armor. There were no fenders or fender flares on here. There are holes from where it looks like the previous owner had some, but it did not come with it when I got the Jeep that long ago. Now I'm not quite ready to ditch the factory fenders completely and move into like full tube fenders, but it is time to upgrade the fender flares. Now over here on the bench, I have a brand new set of KBD fender flares. These are made of polyurethane, which pretty much means they're indestructible. I'm really excited to throw these on. Now Ben had these on his Jeep at King of the Hammers. They can move, they can bend. They're pretty much indestructible, like I said. So I'm really excited to get these on. I think they're gonna give the Jeep a nice clean look. So to get my fender off, there is a bulb back here that I'm gonna pull out. I only have 2 bolts and then the rest are clips. So let's get all of that off so I can pull this fender out. Now I'm just gonna yank her off. There's one clip back here I couldn't get. I'm hoping I can just back here. Got it. Got this side popped on. Now before I move on to this side, I want to show you a little before and after. So this is before and this is after. Look how much better this looks. I like the style of these fenders better. They give me a little bit more clearance. I should have done this a long time ago. Now let's just move on to the other side. There are a couple different ways we can attach the flare. The KBD kit comes with the push clips and it also comes with some bolts, or a lot of bolts, and some, oh man, some bolts and some washers, but no nuts. I used the push clips on the other side and they seem to work pretty well, so I'm gonna do that on this side as well. However, in the rear, the body armor is pretty thick, so I've got to run to the hardware store and pick up some bolts. But first, let's finish up the front. Got all 4 flares on, but I'm gonna pull the Jeep out because I don't have enough room to do a full walk around. It's crazy how changing up something as simple as your fender flares can give your Jeep a whole new look. I am really loving how these ended up turning out. I think they look a lot better than the factory ones, and they definitely look a lot shinier, that's for sure. Now, I'm going to have to make one change, and it's not in the flare, it's just in the rear here. So this person who had the Jeep before me, he obviously was running some type of highline setup, but the holes are crooked. And I really want to avoid drilling any more holes into the corner armor. I'll do it if I have to, but the first thing I'm going to try is cutting the corner armor. So when I flex on either side, the wheel rubs into the fender well pretty bad. So I'm going to try cutting the corner armor first to match the flare. And if it still looks funky, I'm going to have to drill new holes in the corner armor, and that's totally fine. Same thing happened on this side, but it's not as dramatic. But overall, I think these flares really make this Jeep look a lot cleaner. It's just a nice new look, and it also shows off this lovely paint job I have going on this thing. Check out the fenders, the hood, the grill, the other fender going into the doors and everything. The clear coat is literally coming off of the Jeep. I'm going to be doing a DIY paint job coming up soon, so I'm going to be making a video on that. I'm going to keep it red. I don't know if I'm going to keep it this red or maybe go like a darker maroon type red, but either way, this thing is getting a paint job. Leave any tips, tricks, recommendations in the comments below. I would love to hear them. I will take any and all advice that I can get. Now, this also has the Gladiator wheels and tires on it. We actually had to pull the old wheels and tires off and put them on the Gladiator, so we did a quick swap, but I will be throwing some bead locks and some new tires on this thing coming up very, very soon. Now, moving on to the last update, I have 2 new projects that I could start on. Obviously, the LJ is not going anywhere, but I do have another stock 2005 LJ, and I have a 1982 CJ7 that I could start working on. Both of them are stock. Both of them need a lot of love and attention, and both of them would be totally different builds from this one right here. So let me know in the comments below which one you would like to see. I'm really excited to get started on at least one of those builds in addition to this one. As always, guys, thank you so much for the support. Give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next week. My name is Cassie, and keep Jeeping classy.